people's brain rot is intense. Like, it is genuinely intense. How do you look at a bridge collapse, a horrendous like mistake on multiple levels, it malfunctions and all sorts of other stuff, and the first thing that people come to mind is race. They think, oh, it's the immigrants' fault, despite the fact that the person that was heading the ship and steering the ship at the time is a Baltimore native where it happened, um, as well as the fact that they are only foreigners in the way that they are a Norwegian company. I'm pretty sure. It was Scandinavian. I forget exactly which one it was. Headed to Singapore and Sri Lanka, or from Singapore to Sri Lanka, and the thing about that is that yes, both of them are technically foreigners, but if they if people that are complaining about immigrants heard that it was actually from Norway, they would think that that's much more palatable than the scary immigrant. You know what I mean? Um, and it is a shame what happened. Like the fact that there wasn't some infrastructure already there, because there's a lot of bridges in the world, specifically bridges with a lot of traffic of shipments, especially huge ships like this one, have things called dolphins around the bearings and around the support beams, which are these big, almost buoys that surround the supports and prevent collisions. Because, like, here's the support, and then there's a bunch of them all over the place, spaced around, so that nothing can get through if they were big enough to collide and have an accident. If those were in place, if that infrastructure were in place, something like this may not have happened. Because no, and the craziest thing about it is, why weren't they there in the first place? We knew, the US knew, that there was going to be heavy traffic forward and back from there of any kind, whether it be a 100,000 ton shipper or shipment container, or it was going to be just a normal sailboat. Something was going to be coming from and to that way under the bridge. It definitely seems it is an oversight, but it's almost like malicious incompetence of not having that infrastructure there in the first place to prevent something like this. Because look now, this is what happens. I fucking thank goodness that the person that was sailing, the crew, after experiencing all the power outages, were still able to get an SOS signal out. Like, thank goodness they were still able to get an SOS signal out, and that the casualties that happened were able to be minimized. I know that there are some people that say that it's kind of suspicious that the propellers were still on and other things, and I'm pretty sure that some ships, to my knowledge, please correct me if I'm wrong here, have backup generators specifically for propelling and for propulsion. So who knows? Maybe it was just an oversight of the crew, and people will twist that into saying that it was China or fucking Russia. I saw people talking about that. I saw somebody twist it into having to do with trans people. What? What the fuck? What is what does that have to do with anything? It's ridiculous. Like, the thing that could be taken away from this should not be, oh, immigrants bad. It should be, hey, why weren't there things in place properly that prevented something like this? And even if it was malicious, like, incompetence on the crew's part, which I doubt it was, of being, because a 100,000 ton ship is pretty hard to slow down. That's why usually you stop quite a ways away from where you're going. And they were on this Mayday course. Even if they shut it off, it wasn't going to stop anything. It was going to impact into it anyway. which sucks. But again, luckily the casualties were minimized and the bridge was shut off, and only 10 it was only 20 people that are now missing, which is a tragedy that they were lost to the freezing waters below of Baltimore. um but yeah, it is the way that you should take away from this is the fact that why are the shipments having such bad power outages? It was it just a random malfunction? Was it complete coincidence or what? Or was it that we are using cheap shipping to save money, and that money being saved ended up causing something like this where the ship wasn't up to code, it wasn't up to standards, it was having problems. And then that tied with bad infrastructure of not having things like dolphins to prevent a mass collision into a bridge that has heavy traffic could have been prevented. It genuinely could have. Like, I would rather have a 100,000 ton shipment container slam into a bunch of cement dolphins and have the ship be put in danger of like hull damage, not danger as in the crew at risk, than have what happened here in any way, shape, or form, whether it be a partial collapse or the near mile long length. 0.75 was the exact amount that was collapsed. No matter what it was that caused it, it is not what people are saying it was. It is not these weird conspiracies or anything. It is just gross oversights and all sorts of other things. And then I saw people talking about how on Twitter, talking about how this is the fault of a diversity hire. What the fuck? What? Literal brain rot. Literal brain rot. It is crazy. It is now about a day afterwards that this video will be going up, and it has just gotten worse. People cannot look at something and think with some nuance about, like, man, this really does suck. What caused this to happen? Why did this happen? And instead, they immediately jump to fucking old man waving a cane on the kids on his front yard. It is ridiculous. It's moronic. It is idiotic. It's stupid. It's so stupid. That's what happens. That there is that much brain rot, and that people are that legit crazy, and that crazy is normalized. Like, people used to just be shunned for that, despite the fact that it was quietly accepted, and but now that loud stuff that is being said out loud is palatable now, and people are agreeing with it, and people shouldn't be agreeing with that bullshit. They shouldn't be. Anyway, I know it doesn't do much, but my heart goes out to everyone that was affected. Let's hope that something can be put in place to prevent something like this from ever happening again, and I hope more information comes out of why it was actually happening. I know I talk about all the time about how I hate just doing videos on current events. I don't like just doing talking, because I don't want to turn into like another Moist Critical where I'm just talking, right? But I like to talk about things that I care about, and whenever I see something like this bullshit that's going on, and people that are harping on to some weird conspiracies, I feel like I need to talk about it. If something weird was going on, we need to talk about that, not just hop immediately onto having five different people, like, conspiracy theories spewing it all over the place. Like, they're all on the same team, but they're all like saying different buzzwords and different things. Eventually one of them might be right, and then they'll all hop onto and be like, see, we were right. It's like the guy that predicted all this shit but was just vague enough about it that eventually something was close enough that people were like, the prophet, The Prophet. All right. Anyway, thank you all so much for watching. That's about it. Click. Bye.